What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hawaii
Hey,
Jiu-Jitsu experience. Mike Onzuka here, Chris
let me
Onzuka,
let,
O2 Martial Arts Academy. Yeah. Oh, John's putting on his glasses here. We're
oh
we're playing
no,
Hurt
I had
today.
to press on the button.
Oh, we're playing Hurt today. So Todd hopefully will be joining us a little bit. Todd Tanaka, Team HK, Kaleo, Auwae, hopefully he'll join us as well. Team Papakolea Jiu-Jitsu. Today we have none other than Carlson Gracie, black belt, gi manufacturer and pioneer, the great John Ouano. What's happening, John?
How are you doing, everyone? Thank you for having me. Well, let me interrupt a little bit. I trained under Carlson Gracie, but I got my black belt from Rodrigo Medeiros.
Awesome.
Just want to make it clear. I don't want to be stepping on anyone's toes out there. But I was Carlson Gracie's first student in America for a couple of years until he officially moved to Chicago. So there you go.
Awesome. That's a great clarification. Let's talk about
Yeah.
those years about you, Carson coming. So how did you find him? Did you stumble upon him? How do you get involved
So
in jiu-jitsu?
what happened was I was training with my brother-in-law um, before the first UFC. He was training with Hoist, and he had a group of his friends training in his garage on weekends. Like every Saturday and Sunday, they would spend like 4 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday. So I worked with my brother-in-law for probably a good close to a year. And then I decided, well, I need to go to an academy. But my brother-in-law lived on the other side of town. So I found John Jack's Academy in Tarzana, which was only like 3 miles from my job at that time. And I spent nearly a year with John Jack before. Oh, are you there? Getting cut off.
I'm just sharing some pictures.
Yeah. So,
Keep going, John.
so in '95, Carlson uh, moved to Los Angeles. How I found him was before he moved to LA. There are like a couple of purple belts that were studying at UCLA to learn English, and Marcelo Hertz and Marcio Nava. Marcelo trained under Carlson, and he was under Bolão. He trained with Murillo and all those guys. And I met him through my brother-in-law. So I started inviting both of the guys to train with John Jacques. And one day he said, "Oh, my master is here." Back in the day, everyone was like, "Oh, Hoist Gracie." You know how it was back in the day. And I said, "Oh, I didn't really know much about him." He said, "No, you like him. He's a really cool guy, blah, 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 this and that." And it so happened he moved to my neighborhood. He was like probably a mile from me. So he said, "You gotta come meet him, and you guys, you like him. He's a great person, blah, blah, blah." So I met him, and I never looked back. We hit it off really well. Our first academy was just outside of the UCLA campus. From the gates of UCLA, it's probably like 4 blocks away. So we were there for several months. Carlson was sponsored by a gentleman named, I think his last name was Lapenda, a Brazilian guy. He sponsored Carlson to start an academy, but things didn't work out. So we left that academy in Westwood, and we found this karate studio in the Venice Mar Vista area. And we managed to rent a small room at the dojo. And we were there for several months until we eventually moved to the Carlson Gracie West Hollywood Academy. And we were there for a little over a year. So it was great times, back in the day. Everyone who would be by Alan Goes, Murillo, Liborio, Zamario, and Cajeto, they would all come by to train for MMA fights and big tournaments. And I got to know all those guys, and I remain friends with everyone to this day. As a matter of fact, I was just on the phone with Liborio the other day. Sunday, he called me out of nowhere. He needed my help for something, and hopefully things went well. But yeah, so that's how it all started, and that was the start of a lifelong friendship.
Awesome.
So
real quick, I just found out that I think I accidentally went live on my Facebook instead of the Hawaii Jiu-Jitsu Experience podcast. You know what I'm going to do is, I think since we just started, maybe I'm going to restart us on that real quick just to get us live so we don't screw up the wherever we broadcast it, it's going to go on that one. So this whole real tight. I'm going to end my live and then we'll jump over to that other one. Hang on 1 second here.
Okay.
See if I can do that.
You tell me.
No, yeah, no problem. Hang on 1 second.
Hey John, how does it work with now obviously Rodrigo gave you your black belt, but does Carlson does like in our like in House of Gracie's association, we'll give our people black belts, but we also have them test with Helson. We have Helson kind of validate our black belt. So technically it's still our black belt, but then they're validated by Helson. How does it work with Carlson?
No, you know, back then, you know, Carlson promoted me, but when he moved to Chicago, Rodrigo knew that I was trained. Carlson was always my coach. So he basically told me one day, said, I understand, you know, you'd want to get your belt from Carlson. I said, listen, bro, you know, it's the same tree. Doesn't matter to me whether I get it from you or from him, you know, I'll still be happy. So eventually after a while, he just decided, okay, I'll just give it to you. But, you know, I was always very good friends with Carlson. Our relationship was informal. It went beyond the academy. We would hang out. I'd drive him around, take him places. You know, he lived after he moved out of Westwood, he moved down closer to my neighborhood, which is like 3 blocks away. So that's why I spent a lot of time with him. That's when, you know, Paketa would come out every so often, and I'd go to Carlson's house, and Paketa would send him boxes of videos. We'd sit in his living room, and he'd show me black and white videos of MMA fights. Oh, my student, this is this, that. I wish I had copied a bunch of those because he had a lot of videos. I mean, he had so many videos that he had a wall full of VHS videos from MMA to Jiu-Jitsu. I wish I could just have borrowed them and copied them, but I didn't. But I really enjoyed the time spending it with him, sitting in his living room, watching all these videos. We would have guests from Japan that would come and visit. Even Yuki Nakai, that's how I met Yuki Nakai when he came to visit California. And, you know, it was a weird situation where he really couldn't go very far. You know, he back in the day, people said, oh, you can't go to, like you said earlier, you know, are you allowed to go places? You can't just train anywhere. But he came, and that's how I met Susumu Nagawa, the photographer. He was the one who brought Yuki Nakai to the academy. We've been friends ever since. Like, I hadn't seen Yuki in probably 20 years, and I saw him at a world IBJJF World event, and we got to hang out. And, you know, it's really cool that the friendship that you make from the very beginning to this day, it continues. You know, you may not see each other face to face for a decade, 15 years, but when you do see each other, it's like, wow, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, found his picture.
Yeah,
picture,
that's Todd Medina. Yeah, Todd Medina. It was a really funny story with Todd. Was when we started, we were still building up the new academy in West Hollywood, and our mats were made out of ground up rubber. And it was like on the second story of this building, and we had to carry bags of rubber to fill, you know, a 1x6 frame, fill it with rubber so we could cover it with tarp. And I don't know how Todd ended up going there. I think it was because I'm going to say because of maybe Alan goes. You know, Alan was from Orange County, so yeah. And the rest is history. One day he showed up with a bulldog tattooed in his chest, and next thing we know, it's like, I guess he's stuck with us. That was
it's a commitment, man. It's a commitment.
Yeah,
many of us are not meant to make.
And I'm still really good friends with Todd Medina to this day. As a matter of fact, in June, I had a team training for all my affiliates in the LA area, and I invited Todd. He took the time on a Saturday afternoon to spend 3 hours with us. He drove from Orange County in heavy traffic. He was a little late, and I understood that. And he just hung out with me and, you know, talked to all my students, and it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun.
Cool. I guess I don't know. As far as Todd fought in the UFC and everything too.
Yeah, cool, Todd fought in the UFC. He's probably one of the only first Americans to really train with the Carlson Gracie team, you know, when they all came to LA to train. So, but back, I'm sorry, I didn't want to get sidetracked. Back to the belt system was, no, it wasn't, it didn't have to be what some teams do where you have to be tested and all that stuff. Time served, people know what you know. Carlson had different, his standards depended on what you wanted out of jiu-jitsu. You have students that competed in gi, no gi. You have students that competed in MMA, and you have students like me that just wanted to train and wanted to contribute to the sport. So it really varied. Some people got their belts faster than, quicker than others, some longer than others, but it's all the same. Everyone worked the same. Everyone worked hard, trained hard. It was rough. Not many people survived because every round was practically like championship round. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was the death match.
Right? I mean, it's like every round was like, yeah. So, we started with half-hour hardcore warm-ups, burpees, pull-ups, push-ups. It's everything. And then you do drills, and then you train hard. And after that, you do more calisthenics. And before you know it, you're dead. You're like, you can barely move. And you get puddles all over the mat. So jiu-jitsu is not easy. And I keep telling my students, listen, you can talk about jiu-jitsu all you want. You can tell people how much you know about jiu-jitsu, but jiu-jitsu doesn't lie. He said, I tell my students, like, it takes me a few seconds to tell you if you know jiu-jitsu or not. Because the way you grip, the way you sit, the way you turn, some people talk jiu-jitsu, but doing it are two different things. They tell you, all the names, who's who beat who. I don't know any of it. I really don't follow any of that stuff. I focus more on what do I need to do to better myself, to better my team, to better my students, and what can I do to motivate my students to be the best they can be at every class, and how can they contribute to jiu-jitsu, to the spread of jiu-jitsu. So, yeah, I have students asking me, this guy? Like, I know them personally, but I don't really follow, their career and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, that's a whole other career in itself. Trying to follow these guys, follow their technique, right. Try to learn it, incorporate it. You know what I mean?
Right. I really think that one of the biggest issues for students that are new in jiu-jitsu, the first 2-3 years is especially the ones that try to follow. What's up, Todd? Where you at? Look, it's sunny out there.
Sorry, I'm in Maryland.
I was just there in June.
Stu kicked them out already.
I'm supposed to be teaching this class. Sorry to be late and crash in on the podcast, but I saw Mike doesn't know how to stream it and upload it to the.
I don't know what to tell you.
But for the record, I think Todd disallowed me to stream it just to increase his value to the show, so that we have to
Hey, they said I don't do anything. They said I don't do anything.
Okay,
Can't get
add sabotage the show then. Add sabotage the show to your list of duties.
All right, are we on? Are we off? Are we
we're
streaming?
still going.
Are we on pause?
No,
okay.
But even if Todd shows up late, we just keep on chugging ahead, John. That's how we do. We learn how to play hurt, like in jiu-jitsu.
Well, back to where I was saying earlier about students, like the new students now, well, like not all, but there's a good number of them out there. They focus too much on the new things. This guy, that guy, the new world champ, the 10-time world champ. Guys like you and I, we focus more on a good solid foundation, be good at it and learn how to develop your own style and then experiment later on. But it's difficult to learn the fancy stuff if you can barely do hip escape, if you can barely learn how to fall forward or fall backwards. The fancy techniques doesn't really do you any good if you don't know the foundation. And that's what I keep telling my students. I had a student last night, 2 weeks with me. Coach, big dude, he's like 6'2", 200 pounds. What do I need to do? What videos do I need to watch? Who do you recommend? Said, come to class. Just come to class. Try to do what we do here and remember what you've learned here and practice. First thing you're going to do is learn how to defend. You're going to learn how to maintain good posture, good balance, learn how to hip escape, how to move. Once you learn all these things, you're going to learn how to counter and so on and so forth. But yeah, I know that, but I know, no. See, the difference is people that say, I know what I know is different than when someone that's been doing it for so long, they tell you what they see. Richard Bresler was, he comes to visit me quite a bit. And I had one student who's been training on and off for many, many years. And Richard and I were watching him train. And I was like, listen, you got to relax. You have to try to breathe, control your breathing, focus on your technique. And if you can't pass on the body, you got to stand up. You need to try to posture up. But he was like so adamant. It's like, no, I'm yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm this, I'm that. And Richard and I looking at each other, and Richard goes, listen, I've been doing jiu-jitsu since the 70s. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm telling you, what we see is not what you're saying. So it's like, people think that they're doing, something, but what you see is totally different from what they're doing. So, that's just part of learning, right? I mean, you've got to learn and develop, the foundation and work from there. So anyway.
Yeah. I would say humility comes free with the classes, right? So you either you
exactly
earlier or you become later. If you're not humble, you take longer to learn. The earlier you realize, you truly leave you at the door, the faster you learn, right?
Absolutely. But some people have a different view of learning is I want to do everything now. I said, well, sorry to burst your bubble. Times, it's not like that. It doesn't work like that. You've got to start slow. It's not easy.
Different.
Instant gratification, right?
Yeah.
Now we want to know anything. We just jump on our phones. We Google it. We get information right away. So we don't have the patience.
Back then, you have to know people. Yeah, exactly. So
the resources get resource overload in these times.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, and then people go crazy. I said, well, I saw this video, then I saw that video. Now you're confused.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's the difficult times when you gotta step back and just kind of let that guy just destroy himself or herself or whoever, let them destroy themselves and, go back and do the YouTube thing and come back to class. Like, I learned this, and then have the guy shut it down. And they're like, oh man, how come it's not working? This and that, not working.
mean, some guys can. I mean, there's been proof, but that's very little.
Oh, absolutely. But those are the elite of the elite.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are guys that, every gym has a student that learns fast. The average student, that's just it, average. Right. Those are, give me a student that has difficulty learning, and I will teach them to love jiu-jitsu and make them, want to train more. And you fast forward 2-3 years, those are the students are the one, oh, I remember my coach was so patient. My first year, I had a hard time figuring out left and right, hip escape, the forward roll and all that kind of stuff. But now I look back and it's like, wow, I was really dumb, but I stuck with it.
But that's the same guy that the new guy come in 3-4 years later and look at that. He looks or she looks at that guy and they're like, oh man, how long does that guy train?
Absolutely.
And then that's when the conversation starts, right? Hey man, I was watching. How long did you train? He's like, about 3 years. You're like, oh man, you're amazing. It's like, well, it's 3 quality years as opposed to, there's 3, I know what I'm doing for 3 years and you still don't know what you're doing for 3 years. And then you're still on your first year. You know what I mean? You never get to that 1 year yet. You put all of that together, You're still in like 3 months, right? So.
Absolutely.
100%.
And I mean, I tell my students, listen, when you train here, my goal is to make sure you learn in a very safe environment and enjoy training, because as you get better, fast forward a year or even, year and a half, the new student will look up to you, and I will not have to tell you to go help that person, because guess what? When you first came here, the blue belts jumped over to run to you to help you with jiu-jitsu. And this is how we all get better, is helping one another. It's not just about me. And when you train here, you will learn how to work with people. I mean, it's a team effort, really. It's an individual sport or martial art, but it still requires team effort to help others.
And I think, actually, John, I think it's a culture that you build, that we build in our academies, but I don't think it goes across the board for a lot of other gyms.
No.
A lot of it's very self-based, right?
So I think absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah, you set that culture, and then the long term, man, it grows so well long term when everybody's on that culture.
Right.
That people forget that it's even like that, because it works so well and so seamless.
Right. No, that's how when people ask me, it's like, wow, where's this guy? He's visiting. We always have visitors coming to our academy from Australia, from Europe, even academies across LA area that will come and visit. And people always, when it's like, wow, I've never seen so many faces that come to visit. And it's like, these are my friends. These are the people that help you get better. It's not me. It's the people that I know that come and help everyone out to help you get better. People message me 2 months ahead of time. I'll be in town. Can I come by for a week? Sure, absolutely. When I first started my team, I had like 3 students. It was so depressing. I mean, coming from an old gym that, my average class, 20 to 30 students in the morning to, 30 to 40 students at night, for months, 3-4 students, sometimes none. You know how depressing that is when you're like used to having a big crowd. And I started really small and I worked my butt off, and it's a very humbling experience when you go out and really tell people why jiu-jitsu is important, why jiu-jitsu helps different individuals deal with day-to-day life, not just about being a good martial artist or a good fighter or whatever, jiu-jitsu does for people, right? And eventually it just grew. And you know, I'm very blessed, and I'm very grateful for, you know, the people that are part of my team, and the people that believe in me, and the people that have entrusted their lives, you know, with what I have to offer. And it's a team effort. And I always give credit to everyone that's part of the team. So I never take anyone for granted. That's, I don't know if it's just me or it's just a different take on how an academy should be. I don't know, because, you know, I do what I do because I like what I do. And I let people know that if there's something you don't like, you tell me. If there's something that I can improve, you let me know. I think that's the only way to be better, is to hear what others have to say, regardless if it's going to hurt you, you know, as long as it's constructive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of what we do.
That's awesome.
He was
Make
talking
lots
to
of
you,
friends.
Like, he's talking directly to you guys.
As a little emperor comment on that, we're all looking at you, Todd, when he's saying that.
He's actually sent out of the academy disciplinary reasons.
Oh,
bad boy. So Stu told him, go stand by that light pole over there.
Time out.
When he
hey, listen, I cannot say anything bad about Todd. He has been nothing but great to me for over a decade.
Okay, I guess I'll leave it to us to say bad things about Todd then.
Yeah, you can talk trash to Todd, but I won't. I have nothing bad to say about Todd.
He's the only one that can do adequate reviews on your kid-sized gis because he's still wearing them.
Todd, you're gonna take that shit, Todd?
Oh, no, he's got some stuff in the pipe already. He's always got some ball busting things in the pipe. Believe me, Todd is not defenseless, bro. He
just looks like it, right?
Yeah.
Hey, this show's not about me. This show's not about me. We don't got time. We want to hear your story. That's why they'll get it later.
Oh,
yeah, we'll definitely get it later.
But anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much how, you know, things went, and I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. You know, I've been in this business for almost 30 years, and it's a lot of fun. If it were a lot of work, I probably would have quit a long time ago. Sure. You know, I didn't start making money in jiu-jitsu till I started my new team. Back in the day at my old gym, I just sold gis and taught classes for free practically.
Mm-hmm. You know, getting back to like Carlson's classes back in the day, like just you kind of said the format is very similar to like Helson's class: hard warm up, teach technique, then just spar for a long time.
Spar. Yep.
As far as the teaching part, what was the structure of Carlson's like actual teaching? Like, did he do like stand up techniques, self defense techniques, and ground techniques?
He did a lot. He showed a lot of like self defense stuff. You know, pretty much like what the Gracies would do. You know, the headlock, the body lock, and, you know, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Very simple. His style was basic stuff. He really drilled learning solid foundation. And yeah, he was different, man. He was unbelievable. I mean, I remember when he would be teaching private, he'd call me and he'd show a choke to someone. I'm like, God, like his chokes are like cables trying to snap your neck. But yeah, he was an inspiration. He was definitely a role model. You know, he was a motivator. You know, watching him teach the MMA class, the no-gi class, it's just no fuss, keep it simple, you know, heavy on the hips. You know, really got to control your opponent. If you're on the bottom, you got to make them work hard, try to get on top, that kind of stuff. is no, don't spend too much time on your bottom. If you can get up, get on top. That's why a lot of the guys that fought for him were just tough as hell. And you know, it was fun watching everyone just pound the crap out of each other.
I know, like he was real big in Vale Tudo. He was one of the guys that basically set the vast majority of jiu-jitsu guys to be successful in Vale Tudo and now, you know, now named MMA. What do you think about his classes percentage wise, as far as emphasizing competition versus, you know, MMA or self-defense, like Vale Tudo type of stuff? Because his guys are successful in both, but was it just because his style was emphasis on like Vale Tudo self-defense and just happened to translate?
Yeah, I think it's because he did both. He taught students how to incorporate the MMA into, you know, the gi. You know, there's a lot of pressure, and there's, you know, you've got to pass, you've got to smash. I mean, I always tell my students, we come from a family of smashers. We will smash. You cannot just sit. You've got to smash, and you have to grind. It's not that easy. The older I get, the more I realize what he meant about it was you really need to learn how to use your body properly. It's not just about training hard. It's about learning how to use your body and to its fullest. You know, instead of just trying to pound, use your core, use your hips, use your pressure better. Makes a huge difference. Like I said, it kept it simple. You know, nothing fancy. We trained a lot. That was pretty much it. You freaking train and train. You made a mistake. You figure out why you made a mistake and fix it. I mean, a lot of people quit because it's really hard. I mean, I had so many injuries. I was one of the smallest guys. Rodrigo and I were one of the smallest guys. And, you know, I've got practically every joint in my body is all messed up. You know, my neck, my shoulders, my elbows, my ankles, my knees, my hips, everything. But the older I got, the better I got in learning to move better instead of just trying to, you know, like ground and pound. I'm learning to move better. I've lost about 30 pounds in the last year. So I'm still learning how to grapple better now because I'm a lot lighter. You know, whenever I travel, I train with others and I'm like, oh my God, I remember 20 pounds heavier, I could just sit in people. 20 pounds lighter, I'm chasing people or I'm trying to make adjustments. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You train with big guys, you move better. You train with small guys, you're like, oh, I'm chasing this guy around. So I'm still learning to make adjustments right now. I don't train every day because I teach 12 classes a week and it's hard. But because I drill so much when I train, I'm okay. I do okay. And I train with many of my students. When I travel, I train with some of my black belts and it's all about fun. It's not like, look, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to train a little bit so we can all move and learn how to be better. It's not about, oh, I'm going to beat you. Back in the day, it was probably like that. Like, oh, I'm going to try to submit you as hard as I can. Nowadays, it's more like, okay, we're going to have a fun roll and be better at what we do. So, you know, nothing worse than a gimpy instructor, right? You're teaching class, you go, hang on a second, my hip hurts. Yeah. Hang on, my knee pop. Oh yeah. But yeah, my students know that if you're hurt, you can't teach properly. So my students are very nice and respectful. They could easily just jump and, you know, make it worse, but there's no need to, right? I'm not a threat to them. So what do you have to say, Todd?
So I was gonna say, the twins don't know what you're talking about because they haven't rolled since those days where they they only know how it is to get smashed and smash people. They haven't rolled with their students since those days. So yeah, it's new to them. I'm watching their faces and they're appreciating this. You're educating them.
Hey, walk to the other pole, Todd. Walk to the other pole.
Kaleo and me are always getting busted up because we actually train.
I'm gonna
shots fired back. Shots fired back.
What's the difference? The teaching style between Rodrigo and Carlson, is it basically the same, or did he modify a little bit?
Because Rodrigo's smaller. You know, when I met him, he was like 160. He just moved differently. He had his own style, unique to himself because of his size. He was probably by far one of the most technical black belts in the team as far as size is concerned. You know, like I said, you know, Rodrigo and I were probably one of the smallest guys in the team, and he did really well. Everyone loved training with him because he could do both. He could smash, and he could really train with the big guys well. And he does really well. I have spent lots and lots of years training with him, and he's by far one of the best I've ever rolled with. He's so much fun. He can really turn it up when he needs to. But when he trains, he matches your intensity. So it really depends on what you're willing to take. You know, I've had training sessions with him where after that I just want to die. It's so exhausting, and he's like smiling at you. He has this infectious smile. When he smiles at you, just kind of you can't get mad at him. But his style is just amazing. He has a smooth. He has a very high percentage submission rate in competition. If you ever YouTube some of his matches, he has a very high percentage of submission. Really, I can't say enough about him. Like I said, we've been friends for a very long time. I can call on him anytime. He comes and visits me every so often. He's my little brother. He's smooth. He's very smooth. He has his transitions amazing. You know, everyone knows how he moves. He's very difficult to stop.
It's so interesting because Carlson's style is
also phenomenal instructor.
Yeah, sorry, John. It's so interesting because Carlson's style is such a like a power style.
No, it's different,
heavy style, and Rodrigo's different, but then and Ricardo De La Riva is different. Andre Pederneiras got his back from Carlson too, I believe.
Right.
And so he's built so much good, even small guys, and he has obviously some great big guys too. So.
Every size. Carlo Barreto was 6'3", 6'4", maybe 6'5". He spent a lot of time in LA when he was fighting in Japan. I mean, I trained with him. It's no fun. It's one-sided. You know, the old man had to tell him to take it easy because I can't do anything. You know, the guy is just, really good, smooth. He's had a lot of big guys come from Brazil and train here in LA, and it's really amazing to see the different sizes and how well they adapted his particular style of jiu-jitsu to their body type. You know, everyone's different. You have Julio Fernandez, who's also a smaller guy. He has his own style. You have the big guys that move like little guys and little guys that move like big guys. So it's a good combination, with everyone.
Is Carlson the kind of guy that basically would show a bunch of techniques and then let you choose what you want to pick out and encourage you know, these different styles to be developed individually?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I tell my students. Said, listen, this is how I do it. This is how I teach it. It is up to you to understand how can you make it work for you, because we are all different. Some may move the hip tighter. Some may prefer a looser hip. You know, everyone works in different ways. They think differently. Why would you do a toreando instead of a stack pass? Why would you do a stack pass instead of an over-under? These kind of things that people have their go-to moves. The beauty of it is, regardless of what their style is, and people figure out their style, they can still pull it off. And that's the cool thing about jiu-jitsu is, like, you train with people that you know, or your students, and they know how you move. And yet it's harder for them to figure out how to prevent it, because you still have a higher percentage of success with your techniques. It may reduce throughout the years, but you can still pull it off. I still do the same thing I've been doing for the last 10, 15 years. And my students know it. Oh, he's going to do this. He's going to do that. I still do it because I can still pull it off. Right? You find ways to still get it.
After Carlson moved away, how often would he come and see you guys in LA?
Well, he came quite a bit to LA because his daughter Karen lived in my neighborhood, and I don't know if she's still in the LA area, but you know, I think she had a daughter, so he and Junior would come out quite a bit to see them. So Karen used to live not far from where Carlson used to live, probably like a few blocks away. But I don't know her whereabouts now. But yeah, they would come out to LA as often as possible. Because his only granddaughter for a while.
That's definitely a good anchor, right? To draw everyone back in.
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, whenever he came to town, he would always, he'd always go visit Rodrigo's academy. Or when he was in town, I would pick him up and he'd go to my old gym at New Breed. Yeah. So it was, I missed him, but you know, it was better for him to move back to Chicago with Junior, closer to, closer to his son. So
how did the breakup of the breakup of the team and the start of the Brazilian top team, did it affect you guys at all, or not really? You guys are kind of doing your own thing.
Not really. I'm not privy to it. That was between the four co-founders of American Top Team and Senior, and I think it's best left the way it is. They dealt with it the way they thought was best, and I think they eventually made peace. So, but yeah, I in my opinion, I think it was because of the distance. They were in Brazil. Carlson was here. To travel to LA to train was tougher because it takes them away from their families and costs too, right? You have to consider the money they have to spend to travel out here for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or for however amount of time they have to train over here. So yeah, it was definitely tough decision for them to make, and I don't know. I don't know what happened after that. All I know is I'm still friends with them. And so,
and it's kind of a tough thing because you look at it from their athlete's perspective. Your coach, your trainer is should be there all the time to help you.
Right.
keep on it. But then from his perspective, he's getting older. You know, he has to kind of get some, you know, he has to build up his finances, because as he gets older, he got to take his retirement and take care of him and his family, right? So
absolutely,
you know, I think sometimes people don't understand that, you know, you can be selfless up to a certain point, but then you have to make sure that you take care of yourself and your family too. So,
well, he was definitely a giver. He was a giver. He gave a lot, and some people took advantage of that. So, yeah, you know, it is what it is, right?
Yep.
I mean,
we got lucky enough to meet him when he came down here one time.
Right.
He's just he didn't speak very good English, or he didn't speak any English, if I'm not mistaken. But he's very stoic and just
very limited.
You know, we're lucky enough at that time to know him and know his, you know, what a legend he was at the time. So it's kind of cool to see him there. We even went to a bar. He's kind of he's sitting back. You can tell he's just kind of sitting back, kind of just monitoring the situation, you know.
Right.
I took notice to look at him, see how he's handling it. You know, he's looking at his, you know, he's being aware of like the, you know, new place, you know, backs against the bar or the wall, whatever, you know, he doesn't know what's going to expect, but you could tell he's like prepared and he's, you know, he's taking everything in just in case. Right? So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he was a character, all right. I definitely cherish the short time I spent with him, and great memories, fond memories, and you know, I'm just very happy that I got to know him. I got to spend quality time with him outside of the academy, not just at the academy.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah,
really get to know the person.
Do you remember him telling you any stories about his fights and, you know, preparing for the fights and the transition between him picking up the torch from Kaleo or any of that stuff?
Not a whole lot of that. It was mainly, you know, the team that he developed, you know, back in the day, and he wanted to teach jiu-jitsu to everyone, and he wanted to do it his way. And that's why he did his own thing. And you know, you've seen the results. You know, his students competing against other of his relative students, or even his relatives, and you know the outcome of many of them. So he was very proud of his accomplishments. You know, he was well respected because of what he did, of the direction he took. So he changed jiu-jitsu. He changed how people thought of jiu-jitsu. You know, I think if he based it on the money, he'd be a billionaire. But he did what he did because he loved what he did.
He definitely created a lot of rivalries, right? So if it wasn't for him and his powerhouse team, I think a lot of the other teams wouldn't have brought, you know, like advanced jiu-jitsu as far. You need these rivalries, and his team was always like every single weight class. He always had good guys, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think he changed how people looked at jiu-jitsu, especially in competition. You always want to produce the best. You always wanted to have the best. You try to outdo the others, right? And he had students from all walks of life, from favelas to wealthy people to, you know, families from all walks of life. So, and he definitely attracted a variety of personalities and individuals to train with him at one point or another in their lives.
Would have been interesting to see his perspective of, because he was the one that they transitioned from the first generation of Carlos, George and Elio, passed down to their children to take over the torch of defending the family's honor. So there was a tremendous amount of pressure put on him, being that guy, being the one that took over. So it'd be super interesting to see how, what his thought process was.
Yeah. I mean, you can just imagine at 17 years old, finding a grown man in a ring in, a packed Coliseum, right? At 17. I mean, you can't really, it's hard to fathom today how that feels, right? Like you're practically still a teenager fighting a grown man that outweighed you by a considerable amount.
Yep. And I even think too that not only just that fight, but knowing that the torch has been passed to him. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Now he has to continue carrying the torch because he was the guy. And there's other brothers behind him, but then he was that guy because he is the oldest. So he was the guy who's going to carry the torch for a number of years, even before any one of his brothers was old enough even to help him take off some of that CISO. So everything was on him. The family, the growing popularity of it, the whole, even back then it wasn't as big as it is now, but still it was pretty darn big back then because Carlson and
absolutely
were bigger than life already. So
no, that's true. Yeah, I mean, that's. I'm surprised that he lasted that long, fighting.
Mm-hmm.
that type of fighting, bare knuckles, fights lasting longer than the average, MMA event nowadays, with less rules to boot, right?
Straight up bred that way. It's
like
taking our kids right now and they training at 6th grade. It's like, fuck that kid. A fucking kid touch you, but you kick his fucking ass, right? And this kid is like 6th grade, right? You know what I mean? And everybody else is like, what are you talking about? I'm like, bro, nobody fuck with my kid, you know what I mean? And the kid's like what? Like 10 years old, you know what I mean? Right? This guy like scrapping freaking twice a day, like, what you say, punk? Like what? and then for people to fathom that, it's like, wow, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at that, I mean, I don't know much about that, about him and that, but I mean, it's got to be just like that. In and out the gym. I mean, son, fuck this kid up. You know what I mean? It's like, this kid talking shit, but fucking kick his ass, and then you're like, holy crap, what is it? What?
It's a different generation.
It's got to be like that to take on a torch like that and have that much confidence in that. I mean, one person at that age and be like, yeah, he's gonna fight this freaking grown ass man. Right. Like we don't, but we do this all day, every day. Ask him.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's also cultural.
That cultural, for sure.
Yeah, it's a totally
environment. Yeah, 100%.
It most kids can't really fathom the back in the day, in a different culture, in a different era, how it was.
Not today for sure.
It's survival, some would say.
Sure. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But yeah,
I mean, I would look at it as survival.
Yeah, you have to either you take my money, then I starve, or I take your money and you starve.
Yeah.
Now, let's switch gears. What made you start to go into the gi business?
1999 was the first. 1999 was when I officially started, but I had spent like 2 years prior to that doing some R&D, traveling overseas, visiting different factories, and I had the best supermodels. I had Rodrigo, I had Carlson, Gracie Jr., Senior, I had Marcelo Alonso, had all those guys. Not many can say you had 3 big names wear your gi the first month.
And
I said, here, wear this.
It means a lot, man.
Take a picture.
Right?
Yeah.
What made you jump in? Is it just because the lack of it was so difficult getting gis, and then you said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to make my own?
The lack, the supply, and back in the day, you know, gis coming from Brazil were as expensive as today's, practically, you know, over $200. People paid it. I remember buying an Atama from a friend of mine. It was like back in the 90s, it was like $175, $200. And I'm no $200, and I'm like, screw that, man. I'm gonna find a way to make my own. So I figured out a way, and I never looked back. And you know, fast forward 22 years later, I'm still around. Hell, I still make your gis, guys.
Just for the guys, just to like circle back on how we met.
Chris
right?
is like, what you talking about?
Yeah, I go and I buy gis from John. I end up in LA, and I always can like age our relationship.
You were here for work, right? You were in LA for work.
Yeah. So I go and I call him, whatever. We meet up. And literally, he brings his infant son out. He doesn't know me from Adam other than probably like emails or calls. Hands me his son. I'm holding his son while he goes and gets the gis in his house and brings them out to me. And I know I was like, every time we talk, hey, how long we knew each other? I'm like, hey, I know your son wasn't even walking yet, and I held him in that's how I age our relationship.
And he's 23 years old. That's how long we've known each other.
I always thought it was kind of odd.
We've known each other.
Yeah, because in Hawaii it's pretty common, right? If the kid will go to somebody, no problem. You have the kid over, you know,
right.
Everybody's uncle and aunties, right? But I didn't expect the same thing in LA or the mainland, but definitely, hey, let me get your gis. Here, hold my son. I'll be right back.
Yeah, he's a grown man now. He's his own boss.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And here we are getting old.
Yeah.
Right.
So about like, you know, now the gi explosion has kind of, as everybody, their brother seems to be making gis and doing this and other that. And how does it affect your business, or does it even affect you at all? Obviously, more competition is not so good, but otherwise.
You know, it's funny you said it, because when I first started, there was Storm, there was Kickskin, there was Howard, and actually Howard is a friend of mine. He was the one that helped me jumpstart my gi business. You know, he told me what I should do and all that kind of stuff. And Howard's still around. He's still teaching. But Kickskin folded. I think Storm got bought. Now they're owned by another, you know, like the third owner or second owner, whatever. But I'm practically the only one that's around from that generation. And I think there was a time where every month there was a new gi company, and it kind of stressed me out, thinking, what the heck? All of a sudden, every month you have a gi company, and they're practically giving away gis. They're giving away gis because they want business. And I did everything I could, and then only to realize later on that it didn't really matter how many companies there are. As long as I stay focused on what I need to do, and I don't need a large clientele. I just need a few good ones that I work with and keep them. Guys like you, guys like Impact in Oregon, you know, Todd, Rylan. You guys have kept me around for a long time. You could easily go elsewhere, but you have helped me make it this far. And my focus now is balance. I have to have balance. It's not about what's my competition doing. I could care less. I really don't care. I don't follow any other gi companies. I focus on what I need to do, and I just do enough where I'm happy and I don't have to stress out. So the balance with me teaching jiu-jitsu and producing gis has helped me find happiness in the last several years. You know, I make a lot of rash guards and board shorts for a number of academies, and many of them are mostly my friends. I would say majority of my business to this day are friends like you that have supported me all these years. And I don't really go out and look for business. I don't even promote my website. People come to me because it's either word of mouth or because, you know, my friendship with them. Like, for example, Gustavo Machado out of Virginia. I met him years ago when he came out to LA, and because he and Tinguinha were good friends. And Gustavo and I have worked together in the last several years, and he's one of my closest friends. And I supply gis to many of his students in their academies, and we've worked together really well. When he needs something, I take care of it, and that's it. Our business is based on our friendship. I want him happy, and I want to make sure that, you know, he's taken care of. He doesn't make demands. He just asks me, "Hey, John, can you do this, this, and that?" I'd like, no worries, I'll take care of it. And, you know, the friendships that I've made in the last 22 years have really helped me be a better person, because I know who my friends are. Many just wanted to be your friend and they end up going elsewhere. That's fine. You know, we have our reasons. I'm not butthurt about it, but I know who my friends are. And you know, all my friends have kept me busy and very supportive. And I'm very grateful for that. Yeah.
It seems like you've been teaching a lot. So as far as your time, it basically split up between your essentially gi company and then just teaching a bunch. And then I know you're doing seminars. Right. So why don't you tell us about the seminars that you're going?
Yeah, when I first started my team, Tsunami, I was teaching in Harbor City, and then I run the Jiu-Jitsu program for Lima Taekwondo. They have two academies, one in Culver City. And so I took over the Culver City one. So I have both. So I teach both practically 6 days a week. So I travel back and forth. It's like about 15 miles apart. And my affiliates, basically either my former students or friends of mine, they've been with me for years. So they're in the LA area. I have 2 in Texas. I have 2 in Virginia. I have about 12 in New Zealand. And it was through one of my black belt affiliates, John Jensen out of Ojai Valley MMA. He used to fight King of the Cage and all that stuff. And he was one of the co-founders of Millennia. And you have Gabe Rudiger out of HIJJE. So, you know, all my friends that have been with me all this time. And basically word of mouth referred me. My black belt in Virginia, he's a retired military, JSOC, and then the other one's active military. He was a winner of the Ultimate Fighter from years ago. I don't know if you're familiar with Colton Smith. Colton Smith has been with me the last probably like 2.5 years. He's active military, and you know, he just opened an MMA school in Virginia. So yeah, I travel to go see them. So I have my students in Texas. I go to Texas at least 3 times a year. I visit my affiliates around the LA area. I'm doing a seminar at Kaiju MMA next Sunday. So I stay busy. I haven't been able to go back to New Zealand because the country's been shut down. But I normally go to New Zealand every year. And then I have a new affiliate in Perth, Australia, which is part of the Southern Tribes in New Zealand. So it's keeping me busy, and I visit a lot of my friends. I was planning on going to Stockholm. I have a friend who has like 2 gyms in Stockholm, but because of the pandemic, I couldn't go this year. Hopefully I'll be able to go next year. And friends I've made along the way, one of Higan Machado's black belts is Italian, and he has a bunch of schools in Rome area, and he works with the papal guards at the Vatican. And so I've become friends with him through Cindy Omatsu. So I've been trying to stay busy. It's not necessarily teaching seminars at my affiliate, but I have friends in Wisconsin. I go visit and teach seminars there. It's a lot of fun. So,
it's great.
It's not kind of busy, but that sounds busy to me, man.
Well,
it's like that kind of busy. I'm like, what?
I did not travel at all last year. So I made up this year. So between June and up until 2 weeks ago, I taught 8 seminars.
Wow.
And I've got another one next weekend. Yeah. I enjoy what I do, and I really I love seeing my friends, and most importantly, wherever I go, people enjoy what I have to offer. So, what's not to like when you go visit places and people enjoy having you there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
100%.
I taught at the school in Houston, and the owner was referred to me by a friend of mine. He owns one of the really cool place. He has I think like a 40-acre property outside of Houston, and he built this huge shed with a huge spring-loaded mat. He has judo, he has jiu-jitsu. The nicest guy. I showed up, taught a seminar there. Everyone, I just made like 30 new friends, and then I started making stuff for them. So what my teaching and my business kind of complement one another.
Yeah.
So it in a good way.
Definitely.
Sure.
It's
the best.
Yeah.
That's the best way to grow the business, right?
No, absolutely. Through friendship, right? I mean, we've been friends all these years. We managed to make it work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Keep on going, right? As long as our body keeps on holding
amazing.
up and train smarter. And
no, I mean,
hopefully
Jiu-Jitsu is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I tell people, look, Jiu-Jitsu will change your life in so many ways.
Absolutely.
It'll teach you how to deal with your personal life as well as your professional life. I mean, I have doctors that train with me, PhDs that train with me, school teachers, nurses, electricians, you name it, federal agents.
That's the best part, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're all in one space. That's so
absolutely.
Crazy. Like how many places you can find that many professionals or whatever, whatever they do in their, their daily life in the same space, sharing the same space, bro. That's like.
And I think it's interesting that all these different professions, all these different backgrounds, we all come together with the same, we all get along, we all like each other, which if nothing else shows, the unity that people can have, to a shared goal, I guess, right?
I mean, that's, it's amazing what Jiu-Jitsu can do for people. It brings people together from all walks of life. And
100%.
It shows how much more similar we are than different we are, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Jiu-Jitsu is what binds us together. It's I've had friends that I made through Jiu-Jitsu for nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
To this day, we're still friends. You know, sometimes you may not, like I said, we don't talk to each other all the time, but when we talk to each other, it's like yesterday. Hey, guys, what's up? You know?
Yeah.
All my best friends are all from Jiu-Jitsu, all Jiu-Jitsu guys. And just like exactly you said, we don't have to talk every day. We don't have to talk every day.
No, you don't have to.
But we'll pick up, our relationship picks up wherever we left it off at. We'll pick, if it's
Absolutely.
2 years later, we'll pick up exactly where we left off at and just, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
awesome.
You know, because of Jiu-Jitsu, I have made friends that have similar, hobbies, like, you know, that I do, like diving, shooting, surfing. I've made friends. I mean, I've had students that I met because I surf, and then they got into Jiu-Jitsu. And then I've had students that trained Jiu-Jitsu and knew that I surf, and we'd go surf. Same with diving. I've had students that like, oh, I want to dive. Then they go diving with me. Or I dive, then we go dive. Same thing with shooting. It's like, oh, you shoot, I shoot too. So we go take lessons together. So it's really amazing what it can do to individuals. It really brings people together. You know, awesome. It's neat. I like it a lot. I'm really happy.
Super cool.
Yeah, one of our black belts at every promotions, he said it like the best. Where one of our black belts, Grant, says, if all you get from training jiu-jitsu at this academy is jiu-jitsu technique, then you probably miss 75% of the benefit of training at this acadity.
More like 90%.
Yeah, there you go.
If all you want to do is go there and learn how to hurt people, then you're missing the point of learning.
Yeah, it's true.
I've had students come to class, very little or no experience. Like, I want to learn how to fight. I want to learn how to defend myself. Okay, well, listen. The more you train jiu-jitsu, the less you are likely to think about fighting. The more you will think about, how can I get out of this jam, or how it's prevention, how to avoid. It's not like when it, hopefully it will never happen, but when it does happen, it will just increase your chances of surviving or doing well. But the first thing in your mind is, how can I avoid? How can I prevent? These are the most important things you learn from jiu-jitsu. It's not about the fighting, because the more you train, the years of experience you have, the less you are inclined to fight on a street fight.
Yep.
So it's the lesson that you learn from training. It's not, oh, I can do this, I can do that, right? I mean, my students are still with me and said, hey, you're right. You're absolutely right about what you said. I don't want to do it. I just want to train and have fun. And it changes how they think. That's the beauty of it.
It is.
Cool. All right, John, appreciate your time. And for a guy who initially told us that you have nothing to talk about, you gave some great nuggets of information. We definitely appreciate your sharing with us and sharing everybody.
I swear to God, I will make it to Hawaii. And you guys better be around when I visit you.
Of course, man.
For sure.
Even if it's in wheelchairs, we'll be there.
You guys better be there, and you better have a list for me where to go, what to do, because my wife will kill me. Hawaii's in the top of her list. She's still pissed that we didn't go, but I swear I will visit you guys, and we're gonna hang out and have a meal together and poke fun of Todd.
Yes.
There you go. Yes.
Now he's gone. Yes.
Maybe I know he messaged me and goes, sorry, I dropped off.
But, maybe like when you get down here, bring your son, and your son can hold Mike. Just to reverse it around. You know what I mean?
That would be
close
cool.
the circle.
Before we sign off, though, I want to give props to Cindy Omatsu, and I'm sure you already know that Cindy's been an old friend of mine. We've been friends for a very long time, and she was the one who actually helped me get this gig with the Limas to run the Jiu-Jitsu program at their academy. And for years, Cindy would come and train with me and video the lesson. And funny thing about Cindy is that sometimes she'll forget. She goes teaches the class. She'll forget. She'll call me while she's in class, and she'll say, "Hey, I forgot this one little thing that you mentioned about this technique." And I would say, "Okay, just wait. I'll video it right now and text it to you."
That's cool.
Super cool. I mean, you know, and it's like, and she would just laugh. And yeah, that's the kind of friendship that we have. Is, you know, it's like, you know, I will do anything for my friends. I mean, also want to thank Bob Bass, HIJJE, for giving me the time to help out and teach at their academies. I was at South Bay Jiu-Jitsu on Saturdays teaching class when I left my gym, and I was hopping around different gyms, and I was helping out at HIJJE's academy in West LA. And truly grateful and thankful for the opportunity, you know, for me to share jiu-jitsu with their students, and made lifelong friendships, you know, during my time before I started my team. So, sweet. But yeah, thank you, and thank you for taking the time to entertain me.
Yeah. Good hanging out, John.
I appreciate it.
We don't have a tournament to go up there to hang out with you up there to see you at the tournament, so we gotta do something else to make it happen, right? So
Zoom you up there.
Yeah. Definitely. So I look forward to visiting you guys, and thank you for, you know, over 20 years of friendship, and thank you for thinking of me, and thank you for all your years of support with the business. And you know, let's hopefully, you know, for the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, John, by the way, I never met you before. My name is Kaleo. Good to meet you. I love the stories, bro.
I will definitely see you when I visit Hawaii.
Oh, 100%. I'll be there.
I definitely we'll get together, go have dinner or have lunch and shoot the breeze and get to hang out, and
yeah,
you know,
100%.
Take me surfing where nobody can beat me up.
Oh, don't worry, I got your back now.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate everything, and mahalo.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Peace out. What do I do?
No, you just kind of chill out. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next episode.